So,
Wonder what made him so angry.
uh, well, he just seems like an uptight person anyway. So,
That's true.
yeah. Well, we're live now, Radrey. So, welcome back. You're a repeat guest on the show.
Yay!
Yeah,
I'm glad to be back. Happy to be here.
yeah, yeah. How you been, buddy?
Oh, things are good.
Yeah.
I guess this time it's not a joint episode. It's just you and me and and an internet connection.
And someone saying me.
Yeah, and the girlfriend who's
Oh,
helping clean up around the house. So, well, I've been trying to like go complete Marie Kondo in this apartment recently because I've been trying to like shift things around
uh,
because
doesn't
you know.
spark joy for you anymore.
Yeah, no, I don't do the spark joy thing. I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, the thing about her is just that she likes to create these rooms that are more like hotel rooms. And, I do kind of value the space. Being here in Tokyo, it's just,
Right.
I live like at a 1 LDK. I'm not sure how it is for you out there in, where's it, Tochigi? You're in Tochigi,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm in Tochigi up in Utsunomiya. So, I to be honest, the apartment I have might be too big for me. Like it's I've only moved I guess 2 or 3 times since being here, but each time it's just gotten bigger. But bigger just means I have more space to fill up with junk, you know. So
Yeah,
when
right?
when it does pile up, I think, oh great, now I got all this work ahead of me to throw stuff away or give away, you know.
Well, yeah, there's one of the annoying things about being in Japan is sometimes like you go to like your mailbox and it's just filled with like chirashi, like mini poster things and advertisements and all these papers and it's just like accumulated so many papers.
Yeah, I've
Just
been
getting,
I've been kind of lucky at this current place. I don't get a lot of junk chirashi. Occasionally I'll get some, but thankfully the manager of the apartment have put like a little garbage bin next to the mailbox,
yeah.
so people could just throw all that shit away. But
I don't like because I'm like you. I was born in the States and
yeah,
I don't remember getting all this junk mail. Like, was there this much junk mail?
did you ever have a post office box at all?
Yeah, I had a PO
Yeah,
box.
yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if they filtered through it or what, but
I didn't really get any junk mail at home. The biggest junk I would get would be these kind of scams, like money scams, and where
oh
every
yeah, that's right. Like those CD ones, the ones where like they give you a CD for free,
yeah, yeah.
like sign up for their service. Yeah, I remember that.
It would either be that or it would be a like an official. It looked like an official government letter, like you owe this much money in to the government. It's like your official name, but then something would be slightly off about it, and you're like, oh, that's not me at all. It's like someone just trying to get money from you,
Yeah.
and it'd be some odd amount, like $19.26. Like, I
Huh.
don't think I owe that, but I'm just gonna ignore it.
Yeah, I got one of those today. Actually, it was like saying you lost your Apple ID. Like, wait a minute. Like if you have to like pay really close attention to a lot of these things, like the serif like on the top of like a P was missing. I'm like,
Uh,
okay, this is a fake account, but they're getting clever.
yeah. Did you get that via email or?
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
it through email.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's you got to watch those. As long as it's not from Nigeria, it might be a bit tricky. So
right. Yeah, no, I mean that's the weird thing about living in Japan for over 10 years now. It's like you forget all this little stuff, and then like you go whenever I go back to the States, it's like man, this feels like a foreign country now.
yeah,
The
yeah.
bills look weird. The shower heads are slow. The-
And they unless you have one specifically put in, they don't disconnect from the. Like it's not one of the shower heads on the hose like most apartments have here.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm like the shower pressure is great, but
And
yeah, no, I like sometimes I feel like I'm like Dave Spector when some Japanese people ask me like, "So, what's life like in America? How do people think about things in America?" I'm like, I don't know.
yeah, you haven't been back in. Well, I mean, you go to visit, but you haven't really lived there in so long. You're right. It feels really alien at this point.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I should probably build up some context. Dave Spector is this Japanese talent. here in Japan, and he always talks about, well, in America thinks, and he always has like some opinion about what the USA thinks because he's the
Yeah.
USA expert. I'm like, dude, you don't even live in the States. You live in Japan.
Yeah,
How do
and
you know?
the last time he's been here for 40 years or more, right?
It's been that long.
Yeah,
Does he
it's
still do TV?
I well, I don't really watch a lot of TV here, but
Yeah.
I see him I see him occasionally pop up somewhere. All I The only thing I really know about him is he makes old dad jokes, and he has too much pomade in his hair. So he,
He has a lot of pomade in his
yeah,
hair.
yeah, it looks like a solid helmet of hair just slicked back. But, but
What?
he likened being a foreigner here to like a panda at a zoo. Have you heard that?
Oh, did
Yeah,
he say that? I don't.
yeah,
I'm not knowing too much about him.
yeah.
All I know is that whenever I see him on TV, he's always talking about American perspective or what the U.S. thinks.
Well,
Yeah, no, I'm probably at the time when he came to Japan. It was a much different place. So
yeah. But I mean that's like any American talent on Japanese TV. It's like they're the representative of America, or any person from that their respective country. You know, they're the expert on everything about their country. But,
yeah, that's true. It's always like they represent like they're on TV with their flags, everything. But
you don't have an American flag lapel that you wear everywhere? Like,
no, I don't.
are you not a patriot, Radrey?
I
Come on.
guess I guess not. No. Um. I mean, I have an American. What is it? The only American flag I have. Well, maybe I have like an undershirt with one of it on with the American flag on it. But I also have this box that has the U.S. flag on. I guess I could show you.
Oh,
It's kind of a mess here, but I'll show you anyway. I'll move my webcam.
wow, we're taking a tour. Oh, there it is.
There it is. There it
Yeah.
is. Just to see it. It's just it holds all my what is it? Hard disks. Yeah, my girlfriend's saying no because the place is a mess. It's rather a mess.
Well, to be to comfort her a little bit, the rest of the apartment was just kind of a streak of blur, so couldn't really see anything. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'm trying like I said in the beginning of this. I mean, I'm trying to rearrange everything for the new podcast, the Rad Culture show.
nice. Oh, that's right. Originally it was just the Radrey podcast, right?
Yeah, because I wanted to do a podcast where I talked about things that weren't just Japan, or like me talking with my friends or people I've met here in Japan,
Right.
like just sort of things that have been in the media. Uh, I did like one on Marie Kondo, and then another one on Green Book, and
Yeah.
then
Were you gonna do one about Michael Jackson, or am
I did do one on Michael Jackson. That's
Okay.
ready. The thing is that I've unlisted all those episodes.
Yeah.
I'm going to put them on iTunes and then edit them. See, the idea is that I originally, back in 2015?
Yeah.
2015? What I originally wanted to do is I wanted to make video essays, but then I realized, I don't know, I think it was 2017? I'm not sure. I made one on Setsubun,
Yeah.
back in a really good one. Like I put a lot of effort into it. I mean, it's probably has like what 300 views or something. It didn't get too. It got relatively good reaction. You know, there was no negativity, but sometimes like when you don't get the negativity, you're like, all right, well, I did something wrong.
Right.
So
Yeah.
anyway, no, the idea was just to make a show where I would talk about random tidbits about uh, culture throughout the world, like in Japan or the recent Michael Jackson movie about leaving Neverland. And but the thing is that I would never force myself to make it, or I wouldn't put the time in that was necessary for it, or I wouldn't be able to find the right time, or I would not really get a break to make the time.
Right.
So what I figured was, well, you know, I've had this dream or this vision of making the Rad Culture show, like this video essay format, but the problem is that I have to like, you know, find the clips and then have me talking, then have that talk, and then me writing the script, and then me putting it all together. So I came up with this idea. It's like, well, why don't I just make it a podcast and a show
Hmm.
where I can cut in clips and I can do the show live at first, like through OBS, and I can add in like extra like sound effects and pictures, and kind of seem like more like it's like a play in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
But then after the live show finishes, I'd go through it, I'd edit out all the boring parts, and then upload that up to the iTunes account. That being the podcast, and then upload the other video to YouTube. So if you want to see the visual side, you get to watch the visual.
Right. Right.
That was the original. That's still the idea. What I'm still working on.
Okay. Okay.
Because I was listening to a podcast called Missing Richard Simmons, which is about.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so bizarre, isn't it? Right.
Yeah, you listen to that one?
Well,
That was
yeah. I mean, it was just basically the premise was like Richard Simmons just fell off the face of the earth, and this guy did like an investigative series of podcasts to see where the hell he went or what happened. Right.
right, right,
Yeah.
and there was tons of production value in it. I mean,
Yeah.
there was music, there was quick editing. It was very well paced, and it was like straight run and gun storytelling. It wasn't like a podcast like this where it's just our interactions of us just talking to each other, which I do enjoy,
Right.
but I
Did,
did sort of like that format a lot.
yeah, there's different formats. Like some of these true crime story podcasts are very similar to that. You have it's sectioned out. There's a narrative that it follows. It's more like storytelling instead of just free chat. So
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, this what he did was he interviewed people and they talked. He had like some opinions about it. I really liked that format, so I thought, well, like I could probably do this.
yeah,
You know, one of the reasons why I do podcasts is just because I like podcasts,
yeah,
and I'd like to be able to see this on the internet. I mean, kind of like you make a cool art project. If it's cool enough, it's cool enough to put on your wall. That's basically what it is.
yeah. Well, I mean, I have the same sort of motivations. I mean, a lot of this is just for my own sort of satisfaction as well. In addition to just putting it out there to see if anyone finds it interesting or it helps people. So, um, but there is a bit of selfishness in there as well. So,
Yeah, well, I mean I don't know. That's what all the directors say, or all the famous artists or whatever. They just they made what they wanted to make. So I guess that's essentially what the Rad Culture podcast is going to be.
right.
But I got to get it started here pretty soon. So
Well, I mean, you have what? How many episodes under your belt now? Three?
for that episode for that show,
Yeah,
just three. I
three.
mean, I
Yeah.
haven't edited down the episodes yet because I want to like throw in clips and audio and things like that.
Yeah. Get like a soundboard and just random sounds you play. No, sorry.
Yeah, I mean something that's quick and easy to follow. Because like what's interesting about YouTube recently is how for a while there, like the algorithm, it was like only showing me people who I watched on like through my subscription feed. Like the videos that come up would just be them,
Right.
right? If I was watching for a while, I was watching Markiplier for a while, and then only his videos would come up.
Yeah.
And then I think the algorithm will definitely change at some point. And then they started introducing me to all these other people. All these other people who do video essays and like horror, I don't know, stuff on the Academy Awards. They're just interesting little essays that they posted. And I gotta say, I'm very pleased by what I see.
Yeah. I mean, as much YouTube, the concept itself is still quite good. I like what people are doing. It's for the most part it's still pretty free that people are putting things out there, but um, the behind the scenes algorithm changes and what constitutes what is appropriate for YouTube or not is still that's a bit I haven't been a big fan of that here recently just because it's very arbitrary. Like they don't have any clear cut rules of as to what is appropriate to be on YouTube and not. You know what I mean? So
Right. Well,
yeah,
I think probably the reason why they don't tell anybody like what the actual rules are is basically probably because they don't want anybody gaming the system.
yeah,
I think that's the biggest reason. I mean, I'd probably be the same thing with Google as well, why their algorithms are top secret. But I don't know. That also saying that they probably people have figured it out a bunch of times. That's why they have to keep on constantly changing it.
Right, right. I mean, like the strategies that I used years ago that um, when I would put out some videos and I would use the same sort of strategy every time, but some videos would get lots of hits and some would get none, and
Yeah, yeah.
I was always using as many keyword tags and, SEO type stuff. And I would even type in like misspelled keywords because, common misspellings of certain things. So it would
Get
get
like traffic from something else. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And that seemed to work a few years ago, but since then it's changed and it's weird. It's like the things you got to figure out. It's like a constant cat and mouse chase, to figure out how to work the YouTube algorithms.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Luckily, it's not my job, so
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah. So
I know some people, it's like it stresses them the hell out. So
when it gets to that point, it's not fun anymore, and
yeah, it really
like I
isn't.
don't want to. I don't. If it's become something that is not enjoyable, then what's the point? I think, you know.
Yeah,
But
agreed.
yeah,
I'm not sure. I don't know. Yeah, that's life of being a creator. That's
yeah,
all I can really say about that.
yeah, yeah. So what? Not to get into too many details here, but what kind of ideas do you have for any future episodes? Is it just kind of what you observe, like what's currently going on in the world of culture, or is it just you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, what's interesting about the internet, what I've learned from the internet. I mean, biggest thing. Um, I'm gonna go on a sidetrack here just for a minute. I'll go right back.
Yeah.
But have you seen? There's a new movie that came out with Nicolas Cage called Mandy. Have you seen that movie?
It's in my queue to watch. I haven't quite got to it yet, but
You gotta check
yeah,
it out. It's one of
yeah.
these movies you'll either love the hell out of it or you'll completely hate it.
Well, I'm not the biggest Nick Cage fan, like you know what I
Okay,
mean. So
well then maybe you won't like it. I don't know. He has. I mean, I do like watching him for his freakouts. So.
yeah, there's only two movies I've really enjoyed that he's in, and it's not really because of him, but it's Raising Arizona and Bringing Out the Dead, and it's just because
Hmm.
I like the movies themselves, not the fact that he's in it. But
I remember Raising Arizona. I remember
yeah,
that being kind of silly.
yeah, oh yeah, it's a silly comedy, but it's I don't know, it's early Coen brothers, so it's kind of
Right.
yeah, it's kind of nice to see how they've changed over the years in terms of their style. So um, the other one was a Scorsese film. Uh,
Right.
yeah.
I never saw that one.
But
Anyway,
anyway,
the
Mandy, back to Mandy.
this
Yeah.
isn't really a spoiler, so I don't because I think it's basically the theme of the movie.
Right.
Um, but in the film, Nicolas Cage's character is named Red, and these quote unquote, as Nicolas Cage says it, these Jesus freaks
Hmm.
come into his house and they murder his wife. And
Jesus.
I don't know why they called them Jesus freaks, but that's just what he says in the trailer. But he says that in the film as well. But as soon as that happens, like he walks into his house because he was left for dead, but then he escapes, and then he goes back into his house, and the first thing he sees on TV is the Cheddar Goblin, and the Cheddar Goblin's like vomiting cheddar all over these kids, and he just kind of watches the TV, and he's like, the Cheddar Goblin.
I think that's everyone's reaction when they see that.
And it's just kind of what it said to me was,
Yeah.
the universe just really doesn't care about what you're going through, you know. So, and how this relates to the Rad Culture show, what I'm doing right now, is that if you don't talk about certain things that are going on, I guess, for lack of a better word, the zeitgeist of our time, nobody wants to talk about it anymore. It's old hat.
Right.
Like for a moment, like one week it's about Yanni and Lori, or no, no,
Well,
Yanny and Laurel.
yeah,
Excuse me.
Yanny and Laurel. Yeah, that's it.
There was that thing on the internet where like,
God.
which one can you hear? You know, and if you did it during that week when it was hot, then people would tune into it. But like if I did it now, probably no one would be like, "Oh yeah, that old thing." Like, why are you talking about that?
Yeah, it's
No.
especially
Or
nowadays. Like these things go by so much faster than they did in the past because just that's just the nature of how the internet is.
yeah,
It's
well,
like
it's all about flavor of the week now. I mean, like, and so the biggest thing about the show is just being able to catch that those rush of I don't know people on the internet. I read a book at one time about YouTube, and it says there are two types of traffic on the internet. There's cold traffic and there's warm traffic. Warm traffic is like people like you and me, like we find each other through other people, or we're creators and we find other creators. Whereas cold traffic is just some guy like he types in, like let's say we'll take the movie Green Book or something. He says, "Does Green Book suck?" And they just types it into his computer, and he just randomly finds me or something, right?
I can just imagine some guy sitting in his his boxers like, does the Green Book suck? Let's see what YouTube says. Yeah,
He's got like really grubby fingers and
yeah.
like it's all dirty, and he's like kids locked up in cages or something.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
how that's what you
Yeah.
put in my mind. It's sort
Yeah.
of like you ever watch the creator? What's his name? Red Letter Media,
Ah, yeah.
where he's watching Star Wars and he has like hookers locked up in his basement. That's what the image I'm getting. But yeah, no. So maybe you might get lucky and you get some of those people, and eventually, what I'd like to do, I mean, this is the dream. I guess it's every YouTuber's dream, is to make this my full-time job or make it something where I can make, it's something where I could translate it to cash.
Right.
So once you get enough of a following, then you can get a sponsorship or something turns into something.
Yeah, and
Or
YouTube's changed how they pay you too. I mean, I used to get a paycheck from YouTube, from when I had other, a lot more videos up, but even before I even took it down, they changed it and it just went to absolutely zero just because I didn't fit certain criteria that they just changed overnight. I mean, they gave warning that it would happen, but it cut out a lot of people that were actually partners in getting money from YouTube.
well, I'm sure all the controversies YouTube's going through these days doesn't really help us.
No. Well, I mean,
If you've been following any of that.
I mean, also, I mean, YouTube's just become more mainstream. So I
Yeah,
mean, it's
no,
just
definitely.
you have like professionally made shows that are being produced for YouTube. YouTube just started out as just some dude in his room recording himself, like,
Yeah.
oh, whatever, right? And it's just kind of evolved into, what it is now. I mean, you even have guys like, PewDiePie, who still kind of does that same stuff, but he's just blown up so much that he's the most subscribed guy in the world. Is he, or is that that other channel?
T-Series?
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole meme of, subscribe to PewDiePie.
It seems to like be going back and forth. Like it's PewDiePie, then it's T-Series, then it's T-Series, then it's PewDiePie, so
I'd never heard of T-Series before the meme came around, so
yeah,
yeah.
PewDiePie made them popular.
Yeah. So he kind of
I
shot.
think what he should do, if he wants to get more traffic or more subscribers, he should go to India and make a video there or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say he should just do a joint video with the T-Series guys. Just.
Well, he supposedly he wants to move to Japan. Actually, I've heard rumors. I don't know if this is true, but I mean he's talked about it in a couple of his videos, or at least the ones that I've seen from him.
Yeah.
I have a hard time kind of watching some of them sometimes.
Yeah,
Because
he can be a bit bizarre, but
yeah, no, I mean, like I was thinking, man, if I was 15, I would love the hell out of
Yeah.
It's like I was a total edge lord back when I was 15, you know?
Right. Right.
Maybe I'm still somewhat today, but
This just shows how out of the loop that I am with even other YouTube stuff. I didn't even know about PewDiePie until South Park had him on, and they were
oh really? I didn't
yeah,
know you
like yeah,
were.
like he was on South Park as himself, and not even an animated form. It was a video of him, right? It was a few
Oh really?
yeah, it was a few seasons ago, but I'm like, I think Cartman was trying to be like PewDiePie, like calling
Okay.
everyone bra and all this other stuff, and I was like, what the hell is he trying to do? Like, I know because I've watched South Park for so long. It was like I know they're doing a parody of something. I'm like, what is it? And then at the end, he shows up at the end of the episode. I'm like, oh, I had no clue who this dude was, and so I checked it out. I'm like, holy shit, he has all these subscribers on YouTube. So,
Oh yeah, no.
yeah,
He's very down to earth. I mean, I
yeah,
remember one time I sent him a message and I said, hey, back when I was working at Robot Restaurant, I was saying,
yeah,
hey, you should go to Robot Restaurant. And he actually responded to me.
yeah,
I'm like, holy shit!
yeah,
Like, you'd think that most people who who are at a certain level of subscribers or who are like media professionals, that most of their Twitter pages or whatever, they just send out tweets and they don't respond to anybody. You
yeah.
know?
No, there are some people that do engage with the fans. There's been a few, popular YouTubers or even musicians that I've just, oh, hey, can I use this music sample in a video of mine? And he's like, yeah, whatever, yeah, cool, I have no problem with that. I'm like, wow, he actually responded. Not only did he respond, he actually was cool with it. So I was like, damn. And after that, just went and just donated some money to his Patreon just because he was such a cool dude anyway. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean it's some
Yeah,
some
it is
some
pretty. It's a
people are.
weird world
Mm.
nowadays, like being on the same level as like celebrities.
Yeah, I mean people interact. Well, I was gonna say Trump doesn't actually respond really to a lot of people on Twitter, but
I don't think he. Well, I don't think it'd be a waste of his time,
yeah,
really.
I
Like, you're the
it would kind of endear him a little bit more if he did, even if it was just to fight back with people. It would be like,
right.
he's at least engaging in it, but I don't know. I think he's. It's like imagine if going back to South Park. Imagine if Eric Cartman grew up and became the president, and that's what Trump is on Twitter. He's like the biggest Twitter troll out there. you know.
Right. Well,
Uh,
didn't he respond to people before he became president?
to be honest, I never really followed him. I've seen
Yeah.
some of his older tweets, and
Yeah.
his style has not changed since years ago. But I don't know if he actually engaged with people on social media or not. But I like the fact that he only follows 45 people because he's number
He's the
40.
45th
Yeah,
president.
yeah, like
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's so weird. It still boggles my mind that we live in a world that the reality is that Donald Trump is the leader of the United States. So
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I mean, you remember, was it Back to the Future when was it Marty McFly goes back into the future and he says, "So who's the president of the United States?" He's like, Ronald Reagan. Like, the actor?
right.
Come on.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure people reacted very similarly when he became
Yeah.
president. But he at least was governor of California for a while before becoming running for president. So
Oh,
he
right. Well, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
yeah, most of these people, they always have like they have to hold some sort of political office before they become
yeah.
the big cheese or whatever.
What's like if you would have before he became governor of California, if you would have told me Arnold Schwarzenegger would be the governor of a state, I'd be like, yeah, what?
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of
Like,
here! Come on,
be like, wait, what? Does that mean that you don't have to be born in the United States anymore to become president?
Yeah.
Huh. Wow. A lot has changed.
Well, I mean, there was a push to try and make an amendment. It was called like Amend for Arnold or something, where they were trying to
Was
change.
there? I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
know about
But
that.
I
Okay.
think I don't think he was actually behind it. Where it was other people. But if I think he said if he could run, he would have. But he's
Okay. So you
yeah.
don't think we'll be seeing Schwarzenegger 2020 or whatever? Well, I
Well,
guess no.
not
It'll be
20, not
Trump
2020, but
2024.
yeah, who knows, man. And at this point, after what happened in 2016, no one would surprise me anymore. Like you could say, The Rock could run, and I'd be like, okay, yeah,
Well, yeah, he was talking about running
Yeah.
president. I don't. Well, who knows?
Well, it's just gotten to the point like in idiocracy, like i- it's any if anyone can become president, that means anybody can become president, and that's not necessarily such a good thing. So
Right,
yeah,
right. Well, I mean, I don't know. Uh, what was I gonna say about him? Yeah, no, I mean, going back actually to South Park.
yeah.
Do you remember? I don't know. Sure if you're a fan of Wisecrack. Do you ever watch Wisecrack?
Um, no, I'm not familiar with it.
It's kind of a more. I mean, the only thing I like about Wisecrack is it's a very manufactured YouTube channel.
Okay.
I'm not a really big fan of these huge manufactured channels, even though I watch a lot of them.
You
But I
mean
try to unsubscribe from like big channels.
you mean like these like reaction videos or something, like
No, not a
teams
reaction
react
videos, but
to
it's
you
sort of
know.
like like they talk about like I follow a lot of people on the internet
Yeah.
who uh they talk about like the philosophy of certain movies, right?
Oh, okay, okay.
So Wisecrack kind of because there's so many video essayists that do that, and Wisecrack is kind of the manufactured version of that, the more mainstream, or they try to push for like a more mainstream. Um, but basically, Wisecrack they talk about philosophy of movies and everything, and they also do one on South Park,
Hmm.
and they were talking about how the show kind of fell apart after the 2016 election.
Yeah. Well,
Know if you, I'm not sure what your opinion of South Park is nowadays, but
oh, I've always enjoyed South Park from the moment it began, and just because they're not afraid to just say whatever, like they don't really take any sides per se. They have the creators have expressed their opinion before, but the show itself holds no punches back from anyone, and that's what I like about it. So
okay. So
yeah.
you still watch religiously. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I watch it when it comes out. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause I stopped watching that show, and like the Simpsons. Simpsons have gotten stale
I
like
gave
a
up
long
on
time ago.
Simpsons. Yeah.
Um, Family Guy. Sometimes I watch it out of curiosity. Sometimes the humor's just way too left field.
Well,
Sometimes,
the thing
but
with
yeah.
the thing with Family Guy is, like I appreciated it when it first came out, and then it just to me it just seemed repetitive. But I haven't watched Family Guy in a long time. But every once in a while, like if I'm back in the States or just on YouTube or something, and I come across a Family Guy video from a recent season, I'll give it a watch and go, okay, it's I can still see why it's popular, But yeah, but yeah,
Anyway, the reason why I bring up South Park
South
is
Park.
and Wisecrack.
Hmm.
They did an episode about how, like, one thing I really respect Parker and Matt Stone for is they have this really good writing process.
Hmm.
That how they keep their stories flowing and it feels kind of like an organic storytelling.
Yeah, it's not forced, right?
Um, because South Park used to be just episodic, like it would just be episode by episode. Like
Mm-hmm.
this episode's about I don't know, Cartman becoming a Mormon or something,
Yeah.
right? Or the one episode about Mormonism or whatever. Um, but then they started to change it a bit and they started to make it more serialized,
Yeah.
where the episode would follow the other episode and then the next episode. And so what they would usually do whenever they started this writing process was they'd start this train process of these these three words, or but, because, therefore. And, for example, you'd say Cartman wants to, I don't know, what is something he wants? He wants to become a YouTube star,
Yeah.
but he doesn't have any money. Therefore, he gets a job. And you just keep on going and going and going. Because this happens, this has to happen, therefore that happens. And so it's a really good process that keeps on going and going and going. And you probably know if you follow the creators on South Park how they make the show.
Yeah.
They what is it? It's like a couple of weeks before the show airs, they work really like quickly to like produce an episode because like they kind of just like capture like what's popular right now.
Well,
Then
sometimes
they
the few days before or the day before. you know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes a few days before, which is kind of insane. And I was watching. I mean, I've been watching a lot of their making ofs and how they make it. And like they always talk about how they just Trey Parker talks about how he goes home and he just looks awful, and
Mhm.
like because like he's been like he looks like he's been drugged out on cocaine or something for like an entire day.
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, the point was is he when the 2016 election happened, there was for a while there, everybody was kind of expecting that Hillary was going to win because
Yeah.
everybody's sort of like, yeah, it's Hillary's probably going to win.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Trump won, you know.
And they're
And
like,
then,
oops.
well, yeah, well,
Yeah.
what happened was is that of course, Trump's obviously going to be part of, because he's the most talked about person in the world right now. Of course, he makes the show, and because oh yeah, I guess I forgot to mention this. The Trey Parker and Matt Stone's writing process, they always have to say you have to do everything in their show has to be but, because, therefore. If you always say and then this happened, it means you're fucked.
Yeah.
That means you're adding something new to it that has nothing to do that correlates with anything. So you never want to have a point in your story when you just say and then aliens come. Like, what?
Well,
Like, why are aliens here?
that's kind of happened though with Trump becoming
Yeah, that's
president.
what
So
happened with Trump. That's why they made a big mistake. That's why a lot of people said that some of the seasons there, what are the episodes, they went downhill because they had to keep on saying and then Trump won. Like, no, wait, he didn't actually win. I mean, no, he did, or they set it up to like where they said like and then Hillary wins because they had this big setup of the way
yeah.
the news cycle was working.
Right.
But then they had to write and then Trump won out
But
of nowhere.
I don't know. You would still think though that they would have a backup plan just in case, just if the off chance that he won, which he did, they would be somewhat prepared for it. But they're used to throwing something together at the last minute anyway, so they were able to. I thought they were able to recover somewhat quickly. Now, I actually, to be honest with you, I don't think that particular season was all that great because
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about then.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All
I
right.
know exactly. I think seasons since then have improved because they've
They
kind of
got back onto the therefore but
yeah,
because
exactly,
train. So
exactly. And but
yeah.
I like though. Did you watch the last season at all?
No,
No.
I haven't. I haven't. I
They
haven't kept up.
they kind of changed. It's not necessarily serialized or episodic. It's a hybrid of both. So each episode it's episodic, but they'll bring back elements from the previous week's episode or 2 weeks episode or something in there. So there's some parts of it that are serialized, but it's gone back to being episodic now.
Okay,
Yeah,
maybe they learned their lesson. I don't
yeah, yeah.
know.
I don't know. I enjoyed the last season, so but you check it out if you get a chance.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's always good to. I always like watching things about how people interpret the news, because I mean they're basically always about this kind of the satire of
I believe last
modern media. I mean that's basically what this show is. The new
yeah,
podcast I'm making. So
yeah. I mean the biggest thing they attacked last season was Amazon, and they had Jeff Bezos as this like big-brained alien-looking guy but basically his big head had a butt crack in the back of it. But and they made him sound like real high-pitched Gollum-esque voice, and it was he portraying him as a supervillain pretty much, but
right.
in a comedic way,
Man, Jeff Bezos, who would
But
have guessed, right?
yeah, I mean, you look at the dude like 20, 30 years ago, and you're like, this guy, really? But now, yeah, he's almost has a Lex Luthor sort of image to him,
So, like, there was a time when like Amazon was only a bookstore, like you could only buy books from it.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, what you should like go to the Wayback Machine and check out Amazon.com to see like what the first web page looks like. It's
man,
kind of funny.
man, the internet even just 20 years ago was completely different.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
GeoCities and all that.
yeah.
But yeah, no, there was like a lot of times when you'd see Jeff Bezos in the news and like he'd be losing millions of dollars and he'd still be smiling. You're like, why are you smiling?
That's I read an article recently. That's actually how Amazon succeeded so much is because he would lose money, but the way he lost the money would get him money later on. If that makes any sense. I forgot the exact
Oh, it's kind
but
of
yeah,
like
lose money now to get money.
Streisand effect or something. No, not maybe not that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
That's
a
something different.
yeah. It's in a similar way. Like the action that you want, it ends up being the opposite will happen. No, but I think what he did was, I wouldn't say it's necessarily in investing, which I'm sure he did, but he would spend money and lose it to make more later. So if I sometimes that doesn't necessarily work, but for him, obviously it did. So, but now he's in his own sort of bullshit that's going on. So
Wait, is he richer than Bill Gates now?
yeah, he's the richest guy in the world. But well, now that
Wow.
with his divorce, he's losing half of his money. So his ex-wife is now becoming one of the richest women in the world. But I think even with losing half of his fortune, he's still
The
top.
richest.
He's
Yeah.
still at least in the top five. I think. Yeah, yeah. I didn't even know he caught up to Bill Gates and um, all those people. So I was actually kind of surprised. Oh wow, he's quite rich. Give me some of that money, but
Like, well, Bill Gates, all he does nowadays is just like he's a philanthropist, right?
hmm.
He doesn't even work for Microsoft anymore.
He's kind of just fallen into the background. Doesn't really do much anymore. And if you
Hmm.
notice though, in this whole like all these big tech companies that are people that are in the news and that people are attacking for privacy concerns and all this, Microsoft seems to have kind of fallen under that radar. Like there no one's attacking Microsoft for the things they're attacking Apple or Amazon or Google about. You know,
Why is that? Do you know why?
either it's because they're not doing the same things, or I mean,
The good
my
at staying under the radar.
yeah, well, yeah, they're just Microsoft's old news, so who cares? They
Who
kind of
even is the CEO of Microsoft? I don't even know. I have to look it up.
yeah, I used to know, but then I didn't care enough to remember.
I
We do know.
left a good impression.
I think it's Jim
Wow.
Windows.
Okay. I can't even pronounce this name. Satya Nadella.
Yeah, I, no, no clue. So,
He's an American business executive from India.
hmm,
Hmm.
okay. I
It's a Click Farms. Okay. No, I'm joking.
uh, I was gonna say did he used to work for Zynga Games? All the
Zynga Games, was that a
yeah.
big Indian company?
No, that was like before before Facebook started. Before they had the news feed and getting all of that stuff rolling, the thing that most people did on Facebook were play these Zynga games like Farmville and all
Oh,
that.
okay.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I think that's the first time I ever blocked a family member on Facebook because they kept sharing the stupid Farmville shit, and I was like, no, I'm done. I'm done with you. So
Hey, come be a part of my mafia wars.
yeah, yeah.
What? No,
I,
I'm good.
yeah, I ended up deleting my original Facebook account, and I was off.
Feels so good, doesn't it?
It was great. It was great. And after like 6 months, I made a new one, but I only did it just to be friends with family back home, because that's the only
Yeah.
media they wouldn't download any other way to communicate. So I was like, okay, if I want to keep in touch with these people, I have to use Facebook. I was like, God damn it! But
Well,
I don't
I
do
don't think you
the
have to worry about Facebook now. It's becoming a wasteland now.
yeah.
So I don't think
Well,
you need to worry too much.
well, everyone's going to the gram, aren't they? Instagram
I guess so. I mean, it's
or Snapchat or
less opinions. Now you just look at pictures.
that. Well,
You know,
I mean, for me, I just put up pictures of things that I like to look at. You know.
oh, right. Well, I
So
mean, it seems like it's becoming more of like an international thing where it's just
hmm.
showing people pictures versus, Um, like Facebook was all just about like writing some post and how many likes you can get. Actually, there was a time when there wasn't even a like button, believe it or not.
Mm. And then there was like the now it's reactions, so wow or laughing or whatever. And but
Oh yeah, the
the
four
one
reactions they deemed appropriate.
yeah, the one thing that everyone wanted was a dislike button, and they never gave it. So yeah.
I think Facebook was probably worried about the dislike button because it'd make them it would put them in the news all the time. Like Mark Zuckerberg upload a status, 5,000 dislike,
Yeah.
like one like, and
Well, I
everybody
mean,
would know who that is, you know.
exactly. Yeah. um, but then you have MySpace Tom like laughing all the way to the bank. Like he's enjoying his retirement now.
That's it.
He cashed out on MySpace, and now he's like pursuing his photography hobby and just
That's the
trap.
funniest thing.
Uh,
Like you look at pictures of Tom because he was everybody's friend on MySpace,
yeah.
and like you go to his MySpace account, and none of the other pictures look like that one picture that's his Facebook profile.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, this is the same guy? You probably
Yeah.
like do a conspiracy video and like how it's two people or something.
I'm pretty sure there's all sorts of conspiracy theories about everything. That's all the internet is now is porn, conspiracy theories, and social media. You know.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. What's his name? Shane Dawson seems to be doing a lot of those conspiracy theory videos. I haven't even watched any of those.
Yeah, like so the biggest the silliest one I think in the past few years has been like the flat Earth is the Earth is flat people and like
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know
a
if people are
really
jumping on that just to troll everybody or if they legitimately believe the Earth is flat. I and now they've even taken it a step further, and there are people saying that this like space itself is fake. You can't
well.
prove. I'm like, what?
Well,
There have been
if
people.
you think about it, I mean, you have to be pretty rich to get out of the Earth because I mean, gravity is pretty hard to fight gravity, you know.
Mm. My theory is we're just the entire Earth is a glass dome on top of a giant space turtle floating in space. So.
In the story of it.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to like that story. I really do. But did you see the 2017 It
I I tried watching it on a flight to
on a flight? Yeah, the
yeah
best place.
flight to America,
That's true.
and I was
Flight's always the best place to watch movies. But
well
yeah,
yeah you had nothing else to do, right? And I don't know, like I I guess I was just tired, but I fell asleep and I missed most of it, and I was like, I'll just watch it later, and I just haven't gotten around to watching it. So
well,
I
I have a lot of problems with it. So yeah, I don't think you're missing much.
well I don't think the new clown the clown form of it is that all that scary. Like the Tim Curry it clown is the creepiest looking thing for me,
Yeah,
and
that thing
you know
is creepy because he seems like a legit clown. Like the
yeah
new Pennywise, he doesn't seem like he just seems like he's made to be scary.
yeah yeah
He's it's kind of like Annabelle, the that doll from the Conjuring series. It's like has like this really morose looking face and like these pigtails and it looks really threatening.
right.
But the actual doll that it's based on, it's like a Raggedy Ann doll.
Oh really?
Like to me, that's much more creepier. But
Yeah, I
what?
mean, it's like Chucky from Child's Play. The original Child's Play movie, actually the creepiest part of the doll is when he's not the psychotic killer, but when he's just like the "Hey Billy, let's play," that sort of thing, because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
has those like dead doll eyes, So,
Well, yeah, it's the juxtaposition. You know,
hmm
It's not supposed to be. What is it? It's not supposed. A cute doll's not supposed to be evil. That
right,
sort of thing.
right. Now, there's one movie I've seen people talking about. I haven't watched it yet, but I hear it's good. Is Us by Jordan Peele? Have you?
Oh, that one, yeah, just came out. I
Yeah, it
mean,
just came out, right? So
it'll take forever to get here unless you want to watch a cam version. You
yeah,
know, secretly online.
right, right. But um, yeah, I'd like to see that, but to be honest, I haven't watched a lot of horror recently. But I did see the new Halloween that came out last
How
year.
was that? I
I
haven't checked it out.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because it kept to the old style formula, but not repeating any hacky stuff. Like it was fresh. I felt it was really fresh. I felt it was a bit too short, though. It could have actually gone on a bit longer, but
Right.
yeah.
Well, the only thing I don't like about that one, I mean, I probably will watch it eventually, but David Gordon Green, what did he do? I'm looking at the director.
Mm.
I think he's a good director. Pineapple Express.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Went from Pineapple Express to Halloween. All right. Um, yeah, no, what's really chronologically confusing about this, it's like this isn't just Halloween. There's tons of franchises out there nowadays that are just like they're so chronologically confusing. Because this is Halloween, the sequel to Halloween, but not the sequel to Halloween that came out in the 70s.
Right, right, yeah. And then the Rob Zombie Halloweens. Oh yeah, just forget those ever existed. You
Yeah, the
know.
Rob Zombie Halloweens, yeah, those aren't canon
Yeah.
to this version of Halloween.
That's like all these Spider-Man movies that are. I'm like, I just,
Into the Spider-Verse.
well, yeah, I just kind of gave up on superhero movies. Like, I liked X-Men as a kid, and I was like, okay, I'll watch the X-Men movies. But anything else after that, I'm just, I can't keep up. Like all this Avengers, like I never got into it. So
I only pay attention to the ones that get good reviews. Like if there's enough talk on the internet about it,
yeah.
enough jokes, then I'll probably go see it.
Well,
The last good superhero show was Legion, I think. I guess if you see one, see that one.
yeah, I don't. What's is Legion? What's in that?
Legion's kind of, I guess it's X-Men, really,
Hmm.
but it's by the guy who did, his name is Noah Hawley,
Hmm.
who directed the Fargo TV show.
Oh yeah, that's good. I enjoy that.
And so Professor Xavier's son, he has a son named, shit, I don't remember his name. I don't remember the character's name, but his name is David, and that's his real name.
Hmm.
And he has like these huge like uh metaphysical problems. Like he
Okay.
can't tell like the difference between reality and uh fantasy and things like that.
Well, that's scary to live a life like
Yeah,
that.
no, it's really
Schiz-
well put together. Because it's like a head trip. I'm gonna watch that show because like supposedly he's being uh tortured by some like brain parasite or something, and it's like telling him what to do, and he's not sure if it's the
Sounds fun.
parasite telling him. Yeah, no, it's a really well visually told, very well put together show for how confusing the story really is. The second season gets a little stale at certain points,
Hmm.
but I still think it's relatively a good show.
And the thing about these superhero shows now is, even if they're good, I don't want to. I almost don't want to invest in it if they're just
Oh,
going to
that's the
cancel
time.
them.
Yeah, no,
They're just going to
I
cancel them. You know, like Punisher. I was like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I'm going to watch Punisher. Oh, it's only 2 seasons. Why bother? You know.
Well, you gotta thank Disney for that, but
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I, don't, I guess supposedly Disney just bought out Fox because I think they're trying to introduce the X-Men into the new Avengers film.
Ah, okay. Because that was
That's
the
my
only
theory.
intellectual property they didn't have was X Men, right?
Yeah, because they
Out of the
couldn't get
Marvel.
X-Men that
Yeah.
belonged to Fox. So now that they have some of the X-Men, because they paid a lot of money to Sony for
Mm.
Spider-Man, because they really wanted him in the next Avengers film,
Right. Right.
or at least that's what the we found this out after North Korea hacked Sony Picture Classics and revealed all that information to us.
Mm.
Thank you, North Korea, I
Is
guess.
that the premise behind the interview?
No,
No.
no, no. I
No.
mean, you know the interview, right? You remember the whole story back when it broke in 2014?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, they got hacked, I think, in 2014. I think it was 2014. I can't even remember the timeline anymore. Basically, like
The
don't
best
show,
timeline. No.
yeah, don't show this movie anywhere, or we're gonna set up bombs in theaters or something. I can't
Yeah.
remember what kind of threat they made, but
they can't even successfully shoot a missile over Japan. I mean, what makes you think they're gonna bomb movie theaters in America?
Right,
Yeah,
right. Well, I don't know. Supposedly they said they had the technology to do it, but then Trump said he didn't believe him.
right.
But
Yeah.
even though they had information saying he could, but I don't know.
Well,
What
that's
do I know? I don't even pay. It's like hard to like pay attention to American politics nowadays because I just feel so disconnected from it.
yeah. Well,
It's like I don't really know how to really feel anymore.
the only thing you remember, what was it? Wasn't last year? It was it 2 years ago when he was shooting those missiles over here? Like the very first time that happened, and you get that alert on your phone. It says, I thought, oh no, it's another earthquake. Wait, that doesn't really sound like the earthquake tone. And you look, and I look at my phone, and it said, there's a missile that has been shot over from North Korea, and I go,
Oh, the Japanese one.
yeah, yeah. I just go,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't even know how to react. I'm like, okay. So is this
Oh, you
it?
mean like when the first one came by?
The very very first
Yeah, I
one.
remember that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. Is this gonna happen now? Like I didn't even feel any emotion. I was just like, all right, we're done. This is how it ends.
Yeah, no, that was
You
that
know?
was the weirdest experience ever. It's like, should I be scared or
Yeah.
should I be preparing for something?
It's
And
like
it just seems like
it's
the
it.
news is freaking out,
Yeah.
but everybody's saying, "Nah, you'd be fine."
Oh, I said take shelter immediately, and I go, well, I kind of where am I gonna go? That,
Yeah, I don't think Japan's really ready for nuclear war. I don't know.
you would think the only country to ever be nuked ever is not isn't did not set up any
Yeah,
you know
yeah. What's interesting about that statement, though, is you could technically say that Japan's the only post-apocalyptic country in the world.
you know
You know?
and I've been to Hiroshima, and it seems like a nice place, so it's
Have you? I've
yeah
never
yeah
been there.
yeah I went about 10 years ago, but I don't know, maybe it was just compared to living in Utsunomiya and seeing Tokyo. When I went to Hiroshima, I thought, wow, everything looks really clean and new. I go, oh yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
put two and two together.
yeah,
Like, oh yeah, this is where Hadashi no Gen takes place.
yeah.
If
I
you've read that manga.
uh no, but I kind of
Barefoot Gen, you should see it. You should read it. It's good.
I I may have heard a story about it. It's like two kids who were running away from the what
No, it's just
after.
one guy. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
his name is Gen, and
Yeah.
he survives the earthquake and not earthquake, uh, nuclear explosion.
Yeah.
It's pretty gruesome. I mean, it starts off as this kind of like happy manga, and then he's looking at his sister's face or some girl's face, and it just like melts away in front of his face. Like,
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
whoa,
Well,
that's how it starts.
just being there was really sobering. Like seeing the dome, that was,
Yeah, yeah.
and like there's a statue where a shadow was burned into the ground and everything, and that was really surreal seeing that. But otherwise, it's a really nice city. I enjoyed going there. So
They keep the Genbaku Dome there because I guess the Japanese feel it's like a remembrance of not wanting to return to its war past. That's because usually, like when you have like war memorials or kind of like statues or whatever, it's supposed to symbolize something, right?
right, yeah. I mean, that's the really the only building that they've kept. Everything else around it is
Gone.
yeah, it's a park now. Like there's a
Mm.
supposedly there's this big mound, and they said this is where a lot of dead children are buried. I go, that's a bit
That's
odd.
sad.
Yeah, a bit
Yeah,
sad and morbid, but okay, I guess. Like, yeah.
because I was watching something about China about how they have like the remains of old buildings and places that were destroyed by the Europeans or the Japanese or whatever. And the reason for why they keep them there is like as a reminder, like we got to keep out the foreign invaders or something. I can't remember the exact
Yeah.
feeling, but
Well,
I'm pretty sure that's the message they're trying to send people.
yeah. I mean, part of me, I'm a history fan, so part of me is like, yeah, keep these sort of things, around for remembrance, right, as historical evidence, and
Right.
it's something that kind of pissed me off when I heard that the Taliban back in the '90s, when they took power, they blew up this giant statue of Buddha that was carved into a mountain or something. That was it'd been there for thousand, uh, over 1,000 years, I guess, and they just were like, nope, get rid of it, blow it up, you know. It's like, why? Why would you like just because you don't believe in that, it still has historical,
Maybe they were
significance. Yeah.
maybe they were Muslim. They weren't Buddhists. I don't
Oh,
know.
that you
It might
could be
have
right.
something to do with it.
But yeah, but
Like, who's that guy? I don't know.
but you don't
I
see
don't like
that.
him looking at me like that.
Well, but then you have like a place in Syria, which I forgot the name. It was like some ancient ruin that um, had been there since I think around the Roman times, and um, the Syrian government, is as bad as they are, still protected it, but it was the I think ISIS blew it up or something. So it's
Oh.
like, yeah, goddamn ISIS, always ruining our historical monuments.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with history.
Yeah,
Is history only remembers the winner. That's the bad part.
yeah, yeah,
So that's why you get a lot of these people fighting for the first place, and the way they want to be remembered, quote unquote.
and it that always makes me realize that history is written by the winners, but what it always makes me think, well, what if this side won? It would be completely
Mm.
different history. Like if, for example, the Americans had the revolution. Oh, it's the American Revolution, and we fought the British, and we won, and we formed our nation. But what if we lost? We would all, they would be terrorists, pretty much. That's what they would be called in history books.
Yeah, if
You
they
know.
lost, if they lost what is it, not colonists,
Hmm.
colonists,
Yeah, the
just
colonists
revolution.
and yeah,
Yeah, if they lost the war against England, yeah, probably be remembered as we're still a British colony. We probably have the Queen as on our currency.
we'd be like Canada, pretty much.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
or Australia or something.
yeah. Which I don't. That's what I don't get. They're Commonwealth nations, but they have really no political ties back to England anymore. But they still have her on their currency. Like, oh, okay,
I don't know. Maybe it was too much of a hassle for England to take care of.
yeah,
I don't know. They're probably pretty busy.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, you can change a currency quite easily. I mean, look at
Yeah.
dollar bills from 20 years ago, and look at like the $20 bill from the '90s and the $20 bill now. Like, there's so many colors on it now. Like, holy, okay.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't even
what's up with
recognize the
that?
money anymore. But in
It's
it,
almost kind of funny. It looks like Monopoly money, like huge 20 written on the back of it with a huge 100
yeah. And
text on the back.
have you seen like the stuff on the inside? You hold it up to the light, and there's like it's to prevent counterfeiting.
The Illuminati.
Yeah. Hey, that's still on the $1 bill, and
Yeah.
that little spider owl thing. I don't know if it. Do you
Yeah,
know what I'm
what's
talking
up with
about?
that?
Yeah, because someone showed me that in grade school. I'm like, nah, come on. There's no like owl or spider on there. And then I look at it, oh, they're
Like,
they're
what's
they're
that
high.
one? Or like, take the $20 bill, and they predicted 9/11. This is
Yeah.
the plane hitting the two towers. Like, come on, man.
Have you seen that though? Like they actually
I have
fold
seen
they
it.
fold it,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, well, that looks pretty legit. But yeah, look
Yeah, I don't
into it.
know.
Look into it. You know.
I don't get that stuff. It's hilarious. Like, I wonder what was going through their minds when, like, they said, "Well, we got to have something different. How about a pyramid with an eye on it? Isn't that cool?" Like, I'm sure there's a reason for it. You wouldn't just like put it on there for no reason.
The Eye of Horus. Yeah.
Is it the Eye of Horus? Is that what that is?
That's what it is. The Eye of Horus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's.
I guess that's what it is.
I think.
Why the Eye of
I
Horus?
think it's a Freemasonry symbol. A lot of the founding fathers are Freemasons. Yeah.
Oh,
But
hmm.
but
What's
if
how
you
would you define a Freemason?
well, I
'Cause
don't
I've
know.
actually looked that up.
Well, if you it's a secret. It's a fraternal secret society. That's all it is. It started off as stonemasons, and they just kind of developed into a fraternal society. There's other fraternal societies like the Elks Lodge and I think is the Rotary Club considered one too. I don't know, but
Is
there's a
this
lot.
like what Bohemian Grove is based on?
I
You know
don't.
what that is, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that. I don't think so. But
I
the
can tell you that Bohemian Grove doesn't exist because probably Trump would have tweeted about it by now.
right.
I
But
mean, that's one of the great things about knowing the Trump presidency today. I swear, probably the presidency has been more transparent than it's ever been.
right, right. I mean, say what you will about him, but he says what's on his mind, and
Like more than I actually really needed to know. But
yeah, I to me, my favorite thing is all these nicknames he comes up with about people. Like,
yeah,
it's
sometimes they're
so
not so
grade school.
good.
Well, it's so grade school though. Like Adam Schiff, little Adam shit. Like, But it's like, God, how petty, is, and he's just the fucking leader of the United States, and he's on Twitter calling people shitheads. So
Yeah,
that's what I like
well,
about it. It's funny to me. So
the thing that kind of bothers me now is just like, wow, is this what? Because I've had this conversation before with another guest in Why Come Japan, but you remember like the JFK Nixon uh, debates, right? That was like
yeah,
the first televised debate,
hmm
and the only reason why JFK won, or they were what people predict or theorize that, or they I guess they know, I don't know, by data or something. They say he won because he looked better than Nixon did
well,
on
yeah.
TV.
Well, if you look at it, Nixon is like he's sweaty, he's unshaven. I mean, he doesn't look presidential because in that time they're just used to radio. So
Right, right,
when
right.
they're on TV,
I've seen it, but I don't remember thinking, "Wow, Nixon looks so bad." But I guess I didn't watch the entire thing, so
oh, and I don't even know what the resolution of TV was back then, like less than 140p maybe. It was low.
probably.
I don't even think YouTube has an option to get that low. But um,
So
but
yeah, the thing
your
about
your
what
point,
that
yeah,
means to me.
yeah.
What's up?
I was gonna say your point is that the
Yeah, my
image,
point is
yeah.
now with like Trump on Twitter, every president's gonna have to do the Twitter thing now.
If you look at
That's
Yeah, if you look at the other candidates running against him, most of them are on social media. I mean, they're like tweeting, like what's the guy Andrew Yang, the guy wanting to give the universal basic income. He's
mhm.
active on social media. Um, Kamala
Well,
Harris,
what's interesting is I remember reading some newspaper not too long ago where what's his name? Not Nancy Pelosi, the other guy.
Chuck Schumer.
Schumer.
No,
Like he was making some announcements on Twitter, and I'm like, what? Like, what world am I living in now? Now we're making announcements via Twitter, you
that
know?
that's all like on some news websites. They don't
Yeah.
even write an article. All they do is just like
Yeah, you're right. That's
according
all they
to
do.
according to Twitter, like Trump says something that outrages people on Twitter. Like, why is this news? Who the fuck cares about what someone on Twitter thinks? Like, who cares what I think, or who cares what anyone on Twitter
Yeah,
thinks?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
fucking Twitter. But apparently, that's newsworthy these days.
Yeah, no, it's newsworthy now,
Uh,
and that's how everybody. I think it's like it's the equivalent of fireside chats now, like what
yeah.
Roosevelt did back in World War II. So it's taking its place. The internet's not just a playground anymore.
Part of me is excited to see how the future of technology is going to change the way we communicate, and the other part of me is thinking, how the fuck did we get to this? Where we're,
Yeah, no, I'm
you know,
I feel the same way.
yeah,
Like you see all this automation stuff, it's like, wow, it's not gonna be fascinating being able to automate all this stuff. At the same time, you're like, man, think about all the mistakes we're gonna have to go through. All the automation mistakes. I mean, we're seeing them today, you know?
Did you see that recent video that Boston Dynamics put out? It's like these ostrich-like robots at a shipping warehouse, like lifting boxes and rolling over and putting them on pallets and whatnot.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah.
Like if you saw the Black Mirror episode Metalhead,
Mm.
those little robot things. Yeah, that was a good one.
Well, I mean, this
Yeah.
video just came out yesterday. These look like roller ostriches,
What's it
pretty much.
called? Boston what?
Boston Dynamics. They have a YouTube channel. Just go there and you can see it. It's like these. Well, I
First thing
say
comes up.
yeah. Well, I say ostrich, but it's very bird-like in the way these things look.
Huh. I
Yeah.
call him a dog.
Well, they do have the dog things as well, and that
Oh,
one.
they're. I see. I see. Oh, I see what you're calling them an ostrich. They have
Yeah,
like this head,
yeah. It's like a
picks things up.
yeah. It's kind of birdish, but it's not really ostrich. But that's the first thing that came to my mind when I saw it.
Yeah, you tell James Cameron to eat it. I don't know.
And they're kind of
You get that reference, right?
yeah, yeah.
Terminator. Okay, so I don't
Well,
have to
well,
explain that.
Boston Dynamics is basically Skynet. I mean, that's what they're going to turn into. You know.
Huh.
Well, I don't. I mean,
I hope not. Well, let's hope they just don't become self-aware.
it's gonna happen. I don't know if it's. I
Is
mean,
that singularity? Is that what they call it?
singularities. I think it's there's two different things I've heard about the singularity. Ray Kurzweil is the one who came up with this singularity theory. But yeah, it's like basically everything is so connected that we all just become one. You know, um, everything's. Oh, well, what was that Johnny Depp movie where he dies and becomes this AI thing?
I didn't. I think I know which one you're talking about. I didn't
Yeah,
see it. It's transensience, or I can't pronounce it.
Transcendence or something.
Transcendence.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know what one you're talking about. I heard too many bad things about it, so I didn't waste my time.
Right, but the concept behind it, I think that's the point people are making. Whether it's a good movie or not, who knows? But
Hmm.
so it's like pick your ideal future, a dystopian sort of Blade Runner looking future, or one where we're all controlled by our robot overlords. You know?
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's hard to say. I mean, that's. I guess that's why these pieces of media exist, as a warning, quote unquote.
Well, I mean, you look at the books like 1984, Brave New World. Those have been around for almost, well, not 100 years. Well, Brave New World's almost 100 years, but
Right.
uh,
Well, let me ask you something. Have you read Brave New World?
it's crazy, man. Like,
You have.
yeah. I mean, that's a more seems lighter than 1984, but to me, it's just as sinister. It's actually seems a bit more sinister than 1984.
So what exactly is that about? Because I read 1984 and I had no problem reading that, but every time I try to start reading Brave New World, I either fall asleep or I lose
Yeah,
interest in the
ba-
story.
basically, the basic premise is it's like the government has this like this drug that they give to the people that just makes it's like a happy thing. Like, oh, we're everything's nice and happy and there's no worries in the world. And you think, oh, that sounds nice, yeah, but it's basically a drug that just dumbs down the population, and so they don't worry about anything else that's going on. You know, so
Right.
it's
And that's essentially just the story.
I mean, that's the basic that's the
That's
bare
the Cliff
the
Notes.
very bare bones sort of thing to it. Yeah. So
And Cliff Notes. You remember those? You had to
yes.
search out Cliff Notes back when you were in school?
Yep. And the teacher would know if you only read the Cliff Notes. If you had to write
Yeah.
a book report about something.
Yeah. Well, now you could just go on the internet, read the entire book, or find out the ending right away.
Yeah, I remember it was back in not high school, but when I was in college, professors were starting to catch on like, and don't just do your research by going to fucking Wikipedia, you know. And I'm like, oh, they've caught on to Wikipedia now, haven't they? But that was yeah, that was a while ago. That was, but even Wikipedia's always had that sort of reputation of yeah, I don't trust much on Wikipedia.
Yeah. Here's something I would talk to you about because you're an American. I can have this conversation with you.
Mm, mm.
Um, so like when you're here in Japan, you've taught in schools, right? Like you've been
Yeah,
to Japanese schools.
yeah, yeah.
One thing I thought was interesting, like you probably know that most Japanese schools, correct me if I'm wrong on this, like sometimes they have this really really old equipment, or they take place, or they're in these really really old buildings,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And everything basically has this old feel to it. Like they still use chalkboards, they still
Yep. No, you're right. I mean,
They still use like old what is it? Tape recorders, things like that. But versus like in the States, like whenever you have something old, like maybe let's say a VHS player or something, right? It's kind of seen like the school is poor versus like in Japan, if they have something old, it means it's like a foundation or it's
It's
authentic or
it's
something.
it's a legacy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
I
Does
know.
that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're saying, and it's weird. The the school that I have taught at before was really weird because they had they still had the chalkboards, like the blackboard using
Yeah, yeah,
chalk,
yeah. That's what
but
I used to.
right next to it, instead of an overhead, those really old style overhead projectors where you put
Yeah, yeah,
the slide or the clear paper on or something. Well, instead of that, they have a smart board that you can just go up and touch. You know those smart boards where you have like the
yeah, yeah,
digital marker. You could. So it's like it's such a weird mix, and then you have like um, these really. They still use fax machines, but then right next to it, there's all
yeah,
these like iPads for the kids to use. Like
yeah, yeah.
what
No,
in the
it's like
hell?
Terry Gilliam, the old mixed with the new.
Yeah, but that's Japan in a nutshell, though. You go look at the architecture. You have like old temples, or even just old buildings in general, next to something brand new. You know, and it's just at least up here where I'm at. That's kind of what you see. You see the new right next to the old, and there's people.
Right, right. I don't know how to like really quite eloquently say this, but I mean, it's sort of like how I think what the idea is in America is that I think it's because it's such a new country. I think maybe the attitude is sort of like, well, we have to have something new all the
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
Where it's like, I remember, because you remember, maybe you read about the teachers' strikes that were going on in the States recently.
Yeah,
You heard about those?
yeah. I mean, that's sort of happens. It comes and goes. There's been many of these teacher strikes throughout the years,
Right.
but
Well, I mean, I was reading about a bunch of them, and a lot of them were complaining about like they have the textbooks they have the president they have in that book is Bush. They say the president of the United States is George W. Bush, and I was thinking, huh, this is not something you see in Japan. They still use the same damn fucking textbook.
uh,
You know, like maybe they update it, but when they do update it, they just switch everything around, and you're like, wait a minute, this is the same thing they used like 10 years ago.
yeah. I mean, do you know like textbooks in the U.S. how that's really dictated by almost one state's board of education, and that's
Is it?
yeah, state of Texas board of education, whatever. Because
Is it?
yeah,
Huh.
yeah, I'm not exactly sure why. And Texas is like number two in terms of population behind California.
Is
So
it?
yeah, there's a lot of people there, but for some reason it's the state board of education, what they deem as appropriate use of textbooks somehow dictates what most schools in the nation will use as their standard textbooks.
Like, what's the, I think textbook we use is Houghton Mifflin.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. It's been a while, so I can't confirm the publisher, but um, that's yeah. If you look into it, that's what a lot of people complain about because you know these guys who approve the textbooks to use in Texas public schools are a lot of them are like creationists, and so like the science textbooks will have evolution in it, but there's always like a caveat in there, like some people believe that you're like, really, is this what we're gonna give out to the schools? But
So they kind of like subtly push in their bias.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I went to a pretty conservative Christian. I lived in a pretty conservative Christian town, so all
Okay.
the teachers were fit that mold, right? But even in the science class, they would say, "Well, this is what the science says. Whether you may have your own beliefs, but this is what we have to teach." Like, all right, fair enough. At least you're not teaching it. But I just thought it was he had to add that little caveat in there in his speech.
Well, some of those are actually quite funny. Like you're always watching these like programs that are really cheaply made, but like they're made to just like push like Bible messages in there.
I'm
I
not
don't know
sure.
if like you ever watched Bible Man
Oh
or
yeah, I'm not sure what's worse, those videos or those like the driver's ed videos that they would show you in driver's ed, where it's like, don't be like Jeff and Louie
yes,
who have a car crash and it's like something from the 80s, like the
yeah. Actually, I probably could segue back into Red Letter Media. Do you watch them at all?
I know about
Recently?
them. I don't really watch them a lot, but I've seen a few. I definitely
They
know about them. Yeah.
they did one
Mm.
episode called Wheel of the Worst, where they took a bunch of these old videotapes and they watched some of them and like gave their opinions about them, and just some of them are so funny. They watch stuff like this,
Yeah.
like these religious videotapes or these ones about uh self-defense the right way, like with these like horrible actors in it.
It's like
It
some cheesy special effects that with the synth soundtrack behind it. Like,
or like some
yeah.
short film by some guy you've never heard of that is just completely schlocky, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's a great show, and like I remember they had one video called SOS. I forgot what it stood for, but it was like a creationist video, but it was here in Japan, and
Really.
they had like some of the funniest things in it. Like they were trying to prove that like social Darwinism wasn't true, but they had to be able to communicate that without like having any words because it's Japan and they can't really say it within like in English.
Yeah.
So like he picks up a bunch of things and he's like like that's his way of telling people that their theory is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess for your audio listeners, what I just did was I put my hands in the air like I was holding something, and then
Like you
I threw
just
it
don't
away.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah, but what's funny about that is I was recently watching that video again. I guess this is unrelated what we're talking about or what I'm talking about, but um, I have a friend named Matt Frank who draws Godzilla
Okay.
comic books, and he wrote a comment on that video, and he says, "Yeah, thanks to this video, I now know about SOS." Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a little
Um,
random tidbit.
have you seen the old couple rapping for Jesus? It's like
Oh
it's this old white man and his old white wife, and he's singing a hip hop song
boy,
for Jesus, and you just have to see it. It's just
rapping for Jesus.
oh yeah, just go to YouTube and just type in old white Christian raps for Jesus or something, and it'll come up. So
All right.
yeah.
Some of those Jesus programs are hilarious.
Have you seen Jesus Camp at all?
Yeah, that's a Jesus camp.
Yeah.
That was in my area, Colorado.
Oh, that was in Colorado, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
I remember the community college I went to. They shared a parking lot with New Life Church. I've been there before.
yeah,
In fact, I went there once
yeah.
back when my mother's friend was an evangelical.
Wasn't even. So she's since
Well, I
left the
guess
frog. Yeah.
here's an interesting in
Oh.
I guess tidbit
Mm,
or something about my pedigree as a person. I mean, my mother first started off as like Methodist,
mm,
like she went to Methodist, but she wasn't really seriously into religion. And then she met a friend who was really like an evangelical, trying to convert people to
yeah.
PDF and stuff like that. But um, and then eventually, then she became a Mormon after that.
Wow. Okay.
Then we left the Mormon church, and now we're, I guess, atheists. I don't know.
So you've actually been to like a Mormon like
Yeah,
church?
been to a Mormon church. I was
Wow.
baptized too.
Wow. Because we had like one or two Latter Day Saints churches in my town, but I I don't really know much about them other than the things I've
What
seen.
South Park told
Yeah,
you? Yeah.
seen on South Park, and even before that, just I think my great grandparents were Latter Day Saints, but they didn't really talk about it. They didn't even really go to church, so maybe it was sort of a
Oh,
unspoken,
they would be
unspoken.
what the Mormons call inactive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's what. Because there was always speculation. Because anytime religion was ever brought up around my grandparents, it was just like, oh, we don't. So I was like, okay, but apparently that's what they
No, I
were.
can I
Yeah.
can tell you. I mean, it's like bad science fiction, man.
Yeah.
It's really bad science fiction.
Well, isn't it like they said there was like this lost tribe of Israel that came to Americans, like the Native Americans or something?
The
That
Native Americans are really the Israelis the whole time. Plot
oh,
twist.
whoa, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Well, that's why they escaped, and yeah, that's what because like the best way to describe it is the Book of Mormon is like part three of the Bible because you got the Old Testament, you got the New Testament, and then you got the Book of Mormon,
Oh man,
the Return of the Jedi of the Star Wars or
of the
the
Bible, right?
Christian universe.
Or at least it's not uh, Revenge of the Sith. So actually, Phantom Menace. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Phantom Menace,
Yeah.
yeah. At least it's not a prequel. Actually, I think they do. I have one of those too. I forgot what that's
A
called.
pre
Doctrine of Covenants.
a prequel to the Bible? What?
Yeah, I think they have. It's called the. Let me see if I can find
Is
it.
it like
They have
God?
three books. They have
Yeah.
three books. The most popular one's Book of Mormon, of course.
Yeah.
But there's the Doctrine and Covenants. And let me look it up.
I'm just trying to picture a prequel to the Bible. It's like, was it just God chilling up in heaven? Like, yeah, I think I'd like to make a planet or a universe or something. I mean, well,
Yeah,
what,
no. It's like that.
really?
I think it's called like. I can't find it here. They had three other books. Like they have Book of Mormon, Doctrine of Covenants,
Mm,
and
these names sound it almost sounds like epic movies you could watch. The Doctrine of Covenants,
yeah.
Harry Potter and the Doctrine of Covenants, right?
Oh, okay, the Pearl of Great. Yeah, it does sound like Harry Potter. The Pearl of Great Price is the other one.
Nice.
I'm not making this up.
Yeah.
There's also Second Nephi. I forgot about that one. There's the Book of Mosiah and there's the Book of Nephi.
Hmm.
No, what the prequel to the Bible? I can't believe I'm saying this. The prequel is that supposedly Mormon beliefs believe that there's something called the pre-existence,
Okay.
meaning you are alive before you knew you were conscious in this world.
Okay.
So, and here's the crazy thing: is that when you're alive in the pre-existence, you choose the family you want to be with. But let's say you say, I want to have a very difficult life. So I want to be mentally disabled. So the way Mormons look at it is if somebody's disabled, they chose that they wanted to be disabled because they want to teach themselves something in this life.
You know, you how how bizarre that sounds to me, and I say that because as a kid,
Yeah.
I was like 6, 7, 8 years old.
Hmm.
That's I just came up with this on my own. I thought, yeah, what if we're just everlasting souls that get to choose our life every time, like we die and we just go back and we say, okay, now I want to do this life or whatever. Like
Hmm.
I never even heard of what is this?
Pre-existence.
Yeah, the pre-existent. I never even that no one had even said anything about that, and I just kind of my child mind thought, oh, it wasn't like I didn't believe it, but I thought, oh, what if that's true? I thought, well, if a 7-year-old kid could think of such a concept, what does that say about that? But
Like I
then
said, bad science fiction, man.
I was like, yeah, but then you got to break it down. And then it's like, yeah, everyone who's mentally retarded chose to be mentally like, all right there, buddy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what they believe.
But
But I think the biggest thing when I stopped believing was just when I started to learn about how there's many reorganizations of the Mormon Church. I'm like, so how do you know which one's right?
you can wear jeans, or yeah, women can wear jeans now, right? Has that been amended or?
That's the older Mormon.
Okay. Okay.
There's so many different like versions of it. There's hundreds.
Because
Like
yeah,
there's the polygamist one where like
yeah,
they still believe
Mitt
and but
Romney.
the the mainstream one that doesn't practice polygamy,
Right.
but there's also like reorganized ones that still do that, and others that don't. But
Well, I mean, that's um, Mitt Romney's dad moved
yeah,
moved
yeah.
to moved to Mexico because of that very. I think because of that very reason. Maybe I'm off about
Really?
that,
No, I didn't
but
know this.
no, I
Okay,
mean
I
they
knew
are.
I knew Mitt Romney was a Mormon, but
Yeah,
I
but
didn't
no,
know
his
about
dad
his
moved to
dad.
Mexico because they were being persecuted for their Mormon beliefs or something like that.
Right. Well,
Uh,
I mean, I remember when he was going against Obama in 2012.
the magic underwear.
No, not
Uh,
about the magic underwear. And I
mm.
remember reading all these things about Romney, and everybody was saying Mormonism is not Christianity. It's like we can't have a Mormon in the White House.
It's like well, make up your mind, America. Would you rather have the Mormon or the Muslim, right? So
Right.
according to them, it's like who does it really matter? Because you look at Trump. I get he says he's a Christian. I don't. Come on.
I don't think so.
I
But
think
who knows?
he pays lip service to it. I don't
He's,
think.
he seems like a Catholic. He's got the Catholic kind of build to him. At least what I associate with
build.
Catholicism.
He just
You know,
he like Tony
how do I?
Soprano or something. Like
Yeah,
yeah.
like that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they're very religious, but they're like the mob boss.
Yeah. But it's like yeah, I think during his campaign, someone asked him like, "What's your favorite book of the Bible?" He goes, that one, the Corinthians one or something." Like it's like, come on, dude. Like at least pretend like you know. But I don't
Huh.
care. I mean, like, yeah, you could believe in the flying spaghetti monster, and okay.
Flying spaghetti monster, isn't that like that's kind of a new thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's a made up religion. But they have all sorts of like religious imagery associated with, like the Sistine Chapel. Instead of God, it's like a big noodle monster, and you finish all of the sayings with ramen, So it's just it's a gag.
Yeah, right, right. Well, I mean, it's kind of how you define this? A Wikipedia says flying church, the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, or the Pastafarianism.
Yeah, Pastafarianism.
Pastafarianism is a social move.
It's a social movement.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, it's like how they've deemed. I think it's England. They deemed Jediism an actual religion.
Oh, really?
Yep. You can be you can be a legit Jedi.
Hmm.
That would
Oh,
that'd be
what's
cool if
up?
you could actually have the powers of a Jedi, but I guess you identify as a Jedi, but you can't do anything cool. So, okay. You just dress up in cosplay and go to the conventions. Is that all it entails or what? I don't understand.
Hmm.
So, but they recognize Jediism, but not Sithism, right? I mean, because I guess maybe Sithism might lead you to
Yeah,
do something
that's
bad.
what kind of one weird thing about Star Wars nowadays is kind of how, like, because like Disney bought the entire property, and obviously like the Sith and I guess the dark side, or what are they called? What's the dark side called?
S-
They had a different name.
Sith. I think they're Sith.
Not just the Sith.
Oh.
They're the was it Grand Marth Tofkin, or what the hell his name is.
Ah,
Um,
that's the Empire, though, I think.
the
Or-
Empire.
yeah.
Thank you.
Hmm.
The Empire, because most Star Wars is always about the rebels versus the Empire. Um, but what's really weird is like they have this whole new thing at Disneyland where I mean the I should set this up first. The Empire is basically based upon Nazi propaganda.
Yeah.
You know,
They're
the way
Nazis,
they
pretty much. Yeah.
yeah, they're space Nazis in in simple terms. But what's weird is that you have all these people in Disneyland now because Disney bought Star Wars, and they're kind of like they're talking about, man, the dark side. It's great to be part of the Empire, and you have people who dress up like people of the Empire, and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to be cosplaying as this, but all right.
Well,
It happened a long time ago, right?
I was gonna say in Japan, every Halloween you can still find German dictator Halloween costumes for sale at Don Quixote, I think. Have
Oh,
you seen?
really?
Yeah, have you seen those? It'll say in Japanese like Deutsche no Sosai, which is German dictator, but it has
Wait,
like
and you're part of the woods?
I've
Where
seen
you're
it.
from?
Yeah, well, I've seen it. Not yeah. I mean at the party shops like Don Quixote. Yeah,
They probably don't have it here in Tokyo
I
anymore.
guarantee you they do. Go to the one in
Really?
yeah. I the one in Akihabara had it a couple years ago. I saw it. It was there.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Check it out. Because I remember back in 2009, there was this store that literally sold Nazi paraphernalia, where you could buy like a big Nazi shirt, and actually I bought one of them.
Oh,
Probably nowadays is considered real contraband, but
yeah. I was gonna say you could be deplatformed for wearing that shirt.
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
haven't worn it, but I mean I still have it.
Hmm.
But
Well, okay. Here's the thing. At what point does like if you're a historian and you like even if you're not, but you just like to collect old stuff. Like you say, "Oh yeah, this is a knife that belonged to a German officer." No one would bat an eye. They'd be like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," right? But if you, I mean, how much time needs to pass before something like that is just seen as a historical artifact, as opposed to something that's controversial to even discuss? You know what I mean? Or like if you had, for example, the AR-15 that the guy who shot up that mosque in New Zealand, if that was somehow being sold on the black market and you were able to buy it, like everyone would say, "Oh, that's sick. Why would you buy such a thing?" Well, why would you buy Nazi memorabilia? You know, or why would you buy a knife or a bow and arrow that Genghis Khan owned? You know, it's the same shit. It's just time. More time has passed between that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, no, I know what
So
you're saying. I mean, yeah, it's I don't know. This is where it gets complicated.
yeah.
Um,
Well, it's like
but
Hitler is still seen as a pretty bad dude, which he is. But
yeah, well, the
so is
problem I think with Hitler
Genghis Khan.
nowadays,
You know, Genghis Khan wiped out a quarter of the fucking planet's population. Oh, but
right?
he's Genghis Khan, so
What I think the problem with Hitler nowadays is that whenever like Hitler gets brought up in a conversation, they often say that like that's like the worst comparison because it's like saying you're taking the ultimate far extreme, like not right side, just like you're
yeah,
taking an extreme, and you're saying your arguments kind of it becomes one of these like, well, I'm going to
diluting.
take it to the extreme level. I mean, almost like to the point where it's kind of a um, what is it?
Hyperbole.
Yeah, hyperbole. But I mean, also another thing is just that it sort of becomes this kind of like armchair kind of philosophy
Yeah.
where I don't know. This is tough.
Well, I
But
mean,
I mean,
I was gonna say, don't you think that it sort of cheapens that if everyone now is like people throw around,
yeah,
oh,
no,
he's
yeah,
a
definitely.
Nazi, he's a Nazi,
Yeah.
or he's literally Hitler. Like, come on, no, really, like,
Yeah, I
no,
think yeah, because it becomes a hyperbole and it
yeah,
becomes too extreme, so it just almost doesn't even become an argument anymore.
right,
So I think that's kind of the problem because we have I'm having a hard time putting this into words, but um,
because you're a
when you
Nazi.
have like a statement or you have like okay, here we go.
Yeah,
Example. When you have an example that's like the ultimate weapon or something, people always use that as like their ultimate defense, right? Um, Case in point, I remember like when the whole Fukushima thing happened in Japan. It's like if we didn't have Chernobyl, what would they compare it to? I'm like, well, it's not as bad as Chernobyl. Like that's pretty still fucking bad, man.
3 Mile Island.
Yeah, I guess they'd
Yeah,
say like, oh, it's not as bad as 3 Mile Island or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Like I
But
think it's worse than 3 Mile
yeah,
Island.
yeah,
Or
they've just gotten progressively worse. Well, was it worse than Chernobyl? I don't think it is. I think Chernobyl's still kind of the
no,
king.
no, Chernobyl. Well, what is it like? I
Like,
think that was a different case, but
yeah,
yeah, I don't know too much about this because I'm kind of talking out of my ass here.
yeah.
But It's like when I go into like an argument like this, I usually like to become equipped, with like knowing all the information I can.
Don't
But
I wouldn't worry too much about that. We're just kind of shooting the shit, so we're not. I don't think anyone's gonna be out there fact checking us, and if they do, it's like, oh well, thanks for correcting that. So yeah.
right. Well, I mean, I also do like to be able to talk about something, and have some kind of a fruitful like conversation about it,
Well,
opposed to saying, I wonder what that means.
well,
I don't know.
I mean, the disclaimer here is I'm a dumbass, so I mean, I could be completely wrong about some things. So like, oh, I go back, look at it later, I go, fuck, I was wrong about that. Oops, But at least I'm aware that sometimes I could be talking out of my ass on some issues.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, what the thing is, I'm saying here is that sometimes when you have this example that's the extreme, it kind of it's like it's almost as a way to like mitigate another person's argument in a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd like to better eloquently be able to say this, but that's what I'm trying to say.
I think I know what you're saying. Like basically, just throwing insults like Nazi or racist out there, just sort of not only it stops the argument right there. It shuts down any sort of discourse, but it also cheapens that using the word for legit
Yeah,
reasons.
that's
You know
that's
what I'm
that's a
saying?
better word for
Like
it. It cheapens the argument. Yeah.
right, right, because there are legit neo Nazis, there are legit racists out there, but just to throw the word Nazi or racist at someone who's not even near that not only shuts down the argument, it cheapens your argument, and it just sort of it takes the attention away from the real cases. So I hate it when people just arbitrarily throw out like loaded terms like that at somebody. Like
Yeah. Well, I don't
like
know.
calling
That's
Louis C.K. a sexual predator. No, he's just a weirdo. I mean, he just likes to masturbate in front of people.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I don't know. That's another thing. But again, it's one of these things where it's like I'm really disconnected from it, so I
yeah.
can't really
Well,
say too much about it.
you know what happened with Louis, right?
Right, right.
Yeah,
No, like
yeah.
he locked doors and masturbated in front of women.
But
That's I know.
okay, he would ask them though. I mean,
Yeah,
as weird as that is, he would at least get their consent. But to compare him to someone like Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein, which I forgot which one it is, but to
same thing.
compare, is it Steinstein? I don't.
I,
There is a difference though. There is a difference. So
is
um,
there? Okay.
the spelling's the same, but apparently the pronunciation means you're either
It's
Jewish or
It's Frankenstein.
yeah, right. Walk this way, right? Um, God, a movie like that. Yeah, yeah, Mel Brooks movies can.
Frankenstein is Jewish?
Yeah. Oh God, I need to watch that again. That's a good one. But the point is, I mean, you can't group people all into like one category like that. Like Louis is not the same as Bill Cosby, and at the same time, someone who you disagree with on Twitter for something is not a Nazi or a racist if they just have a different opinion than you. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, well, I
it
think
just
the
sort of
problem with Twitter nowadays is like you only hear like a certain amount of information.
yeah.
Like, what? Something's bad? What's going on? Somebody's a Nazi? It's like me yelling at a tunnel.
Old man yells at cloud, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then like, did you hear that? They're saying this guy's a Nazi down there. No, it's not what he said at all.
Yeah.
That's how the internet feels these days. Like somebody says something, it's like a bad version of the telephone game.
God, yeah, it's exactly it. That's exactly it. But the problem is you can go back and look at the original statement, but no one
Yeah,
bothers with that. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
another thing that what kind of pisses me off about like Twitter and social media is like a legit news site will tweet out something that's kind of inflammatory. Like
just to get them clicks,
yeah,
right?
yeah, right. And then if something comes out later
Yeah,
that proves where they have to redact it, they'll quietly redact it. They'll just change the article and they'll retweet it out, but it's all but the original article will still be up, and that gets the most
yeah, yeah,
retweets and everything. But the redaction will get like two or three retweets, and it's
yeah.
like
That's the world we live in
uh,
nowadays.
sensationalism and God,
Outrage marketing.
yeah. Do you think it'll? I mean, it's like 10 years ago, you know, people still fought on the internet. That's it's old. I mean, I remember flame wars on forums back in the 90s, you know, but
Yeah,
um,
remember that? It was just flame wars on forums. They would always just stay there. Now it's just on Twitter.
yeah. But do you think it'll kind of go, the pendulum will swing the other way again? I don't know. Where do we go from here?
It's a good question. I don't know. It'll evolve into something.
God,
Something will happen.
like I can't imagine the next 10 years what it's going to look like, because you look at just 10 years ago and it's completely different world now, you know?
Yeah, back
Yeah.
when well, not just more than 10 years ago,
Yeah.
back when security in an airport in America wasn't a piece of pain in the ass, you know?
Yeah, I mean, not only I've only had to do like the pat down search like once at the
Yeah.
airport, and that was weird. But there was this video going around on Twitter of like this 12-year-old boy being patted down
Oh
at
yeah, I saw that. That
yeah
was a couple years ago, right?
no, this was just a couple weeks ago. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and it happened at DFW Airport in Dallas, and the parent recorded their child being patted down by this old man, and thing is, the guy went over the same areas several times, and they're just like, okay, he's a 12-year-old boy. One, he's wearing t-shirt and shorts and flip-flops.
Mm.
No, you can't really. You can hide maybe a shank or a shiv or something, but to go over his crotch area several times, like once is enough, you know, like just stop. But he just kept doing it, and you're just like, ugh, just this is what people have to go through in fucking TSA, you know?
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I saw a video similar to that where like some guy was like patting down some 12-year-old and that went viral.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know
But
last time I well, yeah, last time I went through the Dallas airport, they didn't do that to me, but they went through my luggage. Like
okay.
and I didn't know this until I got back to Japan. But I opened up my suitcase, and everything that I had packed in a certain way, which I didn't pack in a suspicious way. I just packed just to make more room, right? And
Mhm.
I could tell they had taken everything out and put it and just stuffed it back in,
Oh, right, right.
right?
Yeah, they've done that to mine too. Yeah.
But the worst part was, like, I had this like kind of plastic lining on the inside that kept it stable, like that kept it
Oh
from
man.
not like collapsing. They had torn
Mhm.
that apart,
Oh,
and
motherfucker.
they had torn that
Yeah.
apart. I guess searching for something, but to top it all off, after they put my stuff in, they just threw the plastic pieces on top. Like, really? Like, how fucking rude is that? You know?
God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I got that too. And then like sometimes you get this little piece of paper that says your bag has been searched. Congratulations. Or
Well,
that doesn't say congratulations. I'm
yeah.
making that up, but
Well, I mean, they didn't. It's like, oh, at least buy me dinner if you're gonna, you know, do something like that. But like, they didn't even give me the courtesy of doing that. They're just like, nah, here, have your shit back, asshole. You know?
yeah, that's another thing. Like I was telling, maybe you remember, I was writing on Twitter that I'm going to Portland, Oregon, to visit some of my friends.
Yeah.
I was looking up, I was reading like about the area and like places to see and things like that. And I was reading about how there was a stabbing on like the train system they have there. And I was thinking, man, I've been in Japan too long. I was like, oh no, it's such a scary place. I can't go there. I'm like, wait a minute. I used to live in the U.S.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's like stabbings all the time, and I didn't give a shit.
Yeah. I mean, I used to live in Houston, you know, big city, and
Yeah.
there like people's cars would get broken into almost every night in my apartment complex. But it never happened to me. But I'm just thinking, okay, that's just par for the course. But now I'm thinking, wow, that sounds that sounds dangerous. Why would I want to live there? You know. But you just get so used to being in such a sometimes in a way boring. You know, like nothing like that happens here on the regular. So it's when it does happen, it makes national news. You know, like guy goes through, and it's always weird too. It's like guy goes through Akihabara with a samurai sword and slices up 20 people. You know, like
Oh yeah. Well, that happened. That was a real thing. That happened like
That's I know that's what I'm basing it off of, but
yeah.
like that sort of
Huh.
shit happens, but it's so rare that it becomes such a headline, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I guess like because people may be like, oh, there was a stabbing. Oh yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
like, I'm gonna go back to watching Walking Dead or whatever.
Now I have not seen. I gave up on that show too, but I kind of know what happens anyway because of the comics. But I just I hear this last
No,
season.
I gave up on that show after the eighth season. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, Radrey, man, it was nice having you back on.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was 2 hours. Sorry about that. I don't mean to talk your head off here.
No, dude. I mean, it's like the last one. We probably just keep going on about random things and it would be fine. But
Went from like, what did we start at? We started at
we went all over the place.
broken computers or something, or was that before we started
Yeah,
the
I don't
show?
know. It may have been, but we covered everything. We covered Nazis, Genghis Khan, and
South Park
South
and
Park, and your podcast, right? So,
yeah, the new
um,
podcast.
yeah.
Yeah,
What's the so is it going to be on your regular channel or is it?
yeah, it's gonna be on my regular channel. It's not up yet. I'm still getting the. I have the artwork done.
Okay.
If you want, I can share it with you.
Ooh.
Um, I have the artwork done. I'm getting the intro music done, and then the intro is being finished, and expect to see that up on the channel at some point.
Okay. Okay. Well,
But yeah, stick around for the live streams if you want to be FOMO. If you want to be, if you have the fear of missing out.
oh, is that what that
No.
means? I had no clue what FOMO meant until now. Well, thanks for.
Oh, I mean that's a big thing in the U.S. right now.
Oh.
Everybody's about the FOMO,
Wow.
or at least that's what I've read.
Well,
I'm
now,
not sure.
now I'm caught up. Thank you. So, but I'll have the link to your channel again in the show notes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So, Radri, always nice having you on.
Yeah, thanks. I
All right.
mean, it's always nice to talk to you, Shay, and listen to when you're talking to other people. And you usually, with your other guests, you always have it all the time. What's his name? Graham Smith? What's his
Yeah.
name?
Yeah. Well, he's been on twice. Yeah, but he's yeah, Graham Smith. He lives up in Niigata.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice guy. Nice guy.
Who else is like a regular on your show?
Oh,
Him.
look, there it is. Rad Culture. Is
Yeah, I
is
sent
that
it.
you?
That
That's
is me. I know this is pretty bad for an audio show for showing you something you can't see. I guess you could share that in your show notes or
well,
something.
no, the video version will be on YouTube, so
Oh, okay.
they'll
All
get
right.
to see it. But that was you look very happy in that, that
Well, I was
logo.
trying to go for this Alfred E. Newman kind of look.
That's what
You
I
know,
was thinking. Like it reminded me of a Mad magazine cover almost.
because I was thinking like Mad Magazine. It would always talk about culture, and it always kind of like have like
Yeah,
this sort
yeah.
of interesting take on it, this parody, making fun of it and making some sort of commentary. So that's why it looks like that.
Okay. Well, good. Well, thanks for sharing that. But I'll lead I'll lead people to your channel again, and just anytime you're welcome back on. When it gets
Oh,
up
there
and
we go.
running, yeah, when it gets up and running, just let us know.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll let you know. I mean, expect to see something in April Fool's Day. I
Oh,
guess tomorrow.
oh, oh! Is the
Yeah,
no?
tomorrow Japan time. I guess I don't know if you have any listeners in the States, but
They're all over the world. So April 1st, Japan time. Check it out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Until then,
All right. Well,
I'm Radrey, and that's just how I always end my show. I always have like this idea in my mind, like, hey, this is how you end the show. You always go, until then, then you say your name. It's like, until then, I'm Radrey, and
signing off.
no,
No.
oh no, you say I'm
Uh,
Shea. It's like
oh.
signing off.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right, maybe not. Okay.
Okay. Well.
Guess I got to work on it.
Okay. Thanks, man.
All right.
Okay.
See you guys.
See